Now that we're halfway through the list and I've established that I like to repeat myself, let's cover all our bases and get some fire started. I wanted to thank my patrons Chris Markinson, Jeff Strait, and Stormy OK. As always, you can support Dubious consumption through Patreon. There are a variety of rewards you can get, as well as future stretch goals for the channel. Please consider supporting us if you like what you're seeing. As I found out this last month, every little bit helps and can literally save my life when I'm on the fences. If you can't support us by throwing money our way, you can still hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons to help spread the fires. As always, hit the bell to get notifications as soon as I post a new video. You can also find me at justindherd.net and at justindherd on Twitter. We now have t-shirts and other merch you can grab, everything from shirts to journals, pillows, just about anything you can imagine. If you have any favorite slogans of mine or just some general randomness I do, let me know in the comments. Check those out at Teespring and TeePublic. Links as always are in the description. And now we're back for the rest of my effective horror picks. 6. Oculus 2014. I am a super serious Mike Flanagan stan.
Super serious.
While I absolutely love all of his projects since Absentia, I think Oculus is one of the great standouts. Funnily enough, I owned this movie on digital for years before I finally watched it. And oh my god, I was just blown away. I'm a huge fan of Eldritch Horror, as you can see by at least 3 films on this list, as well as the rest of my channel. And this mirror is just the perfect cipher for us. A villain that's actions are seen through our characters snapping back to reality. Oh, that goes gravity. That it confuses the mind while sapping the life around them, just gives me chills just thinking about it. For the uninitiated, Oculus follows a pair of siblings and they're coming to terms with how the mirror has corrupted their lives. When they were children, it slowly destroyed their mother and father and left the brother in a mental institute for the past decade. He has just been released, only to have his sister steal the mirror from the auction house she works at and insist everything that happened to them is because of the mirror and that it's sentient. You can see how he'd be a little bit skeptical. All in all, the sister has every contingency covered, including a kill switch she has to reset every 15 minutes, plus multiple cameras capturing every angle, as well as recording it all. Honestly, this object would fit comfortably in the SCP Foundation. You'll see why in a little bit. In an amazing scene, she lays out in vivid detail every known owner, plus how they were subsequently destroyed by the mirror. She also explains all the signs of its pranic vampirism, including setting up houseplants and dogs to show how they die without an intervention. Thankfully for us animal lovers, the brother lets the dog escape because all he sees is his sister falling into the same delusions he had been consumed by as well. He doesn't believe her. This is one of my favorite details because I love the sequence where the siblings are arguing outside the house, then suddenly they're back in the building, only to realize all the cameras have turned away from the mirror and almost all of her safeguards have been undone. While this initially seems like a display of telekinetic power, instead we wind back the recording only to see a different type of phenomenon. The same argument we were just watching outside, but instead the siblings are systematically dismantling the setup while blank-faced arguing. And with that, we're off to the races. Now for those familiar with Mike Flanagan through his stellar The Haunting of Hill House, you'll notice a lot of similarities with that title. There are 2 competing timelines, one with them in modern day trying to deal with this eldritch object, the other timeline with them as children, with them dealing with the fallout of it affecting their parents. We don't know how deep it goes until well into the 3rd act and helps contextualize everything we're seeing in modern day. Now, this is really where you can see the Stephen King influence on this project, because the storylines start overlapping each other, where they're almost interacting with their younger selves, or more accurately, losing themselves in the memories. This is used perfectly in the aforementioned Netflix series because it helps initially establish these characters and their relationships to each other, and in later episodes shows how it all echoes and rhymes. I hope by this point I've explained why this has caught my attention. I don't want to ruin this one for you, honestly, so hunt it down. It's definitely worth the watch, especially considering Mike Flanagan's ever-expanding horror catalog. They're all worth it, but his next big feature is Dr. Sleep, Stephen King's sequel to The Shining. Other amazing works by him include Hush, Before I Wake, Gerald's Game, and Ouija's Origin of Evil. And yes, that last one is leaps and bounds better than it has any right to be. And it can easily be mistaken for one of the best of the Conjuring series. 7. Banshee Chapter, 2013. So this is one of those films that I originally considered for the channel early on. Honestly, it was supposed to be my second video, but I just couldn't do it justice. It's still one of those that I absolutely love. I just don't know enough about 60s counterculture to do it justice. Banshee Chapter is an enigma, an amalgamation of so many disparate ideas that somehow work together to form a unique, if not altogether flawed, horror film. At its base level, it's about an investigator trying to find her missing friend and falling into multiple related conspiracies with an alcoholic writer. Easy enough. Along the way, the movie explores number stations, MKUltra, DMT, all with the 1960s drug counterculture as a backdrop, intertwining with Lovecraft's From Beyond. Like the first film I covered on this channel, Yellow Brick Road, this movie could easily have been a found footage movie, and even plays with it at points. But at its heart, it's a traditional horror film with some out-there concepts. While the film starts out with an interesting premise, I don't know if I would be so in love with it if it were not for the writer, a Hunter S. Thompson surrogate, played by the exceptional Ted Levine. While there's a bit of tone deafness with the way the character dies, everything else about Ted's performance is spot on and definitely elevates the material. At one point, our lead is tricked into taking DMT at a house party, only for others around her to start exhibiting the same fatal behaviors we've seen before. While she remains unharmed, things definitely spiral out of control as we are introduced to the idea that the drug allows these monsters to see us. Unlike From Beyond, where they had to use a machine to see into the other world, here they use DMT to become that conduit, and that's what's been chasing down our leads. Add to that, we have the MKUltra experiments and the always creepy and cryptic number stations to round out this horror mystery. The only real downside to the film is that the ending is abrupt and has the patented Blumhouse ending to contend with. It tries to add one last twist in the last few moments that really doesn't land. Otherwise, this is a solid entry into the horror genre.
James, what happened to you?
8. A Dark Song, 2016. This Irish horror movie is definitely a story off the beaten path, surrounding a woman hell-bent on conducting these arcane rituals. The film genuinely focuses on the somewhat antagonistic relationship between these two people, stuck in a confined space as reality warps around them. Once they put down a protective layer, it is stated that they have to complete the rituals without crossing this line, or else they'll be stuck in the house forever. How's that for giving a character a reason to stay? Throughout the day, the two perform different rituals as the woman pushes her body to the breaking point. At night, they are separated in different rooms, taunted by demons, playing off their emotions and trying to get either one of them to break. The only time I didn't like this premise is when the demon, speaking as a child, just casually says, "You know I'm not your child, right?" Like, yeah, Jerry, we know. This is some of my favorite type of storytelling. In some ways, it reminds me of Primer, in that the character motivations aren't necessarily explained, but we do get a baseline understanding of them, only to have those bloom as we get further in and the stakes increase. Since we're speaking in spoiler territory at this point, you definitely get a moment of, oh shit, she's fucked, when the warlock is accidentally wounded after one of the rituals and eventually dies without having completed his task. She does what any desperate person would do and steps over the line that binds the protective spell, setting her a loop around the property and all but assuring she'll be consumed by the demons we know are already there. 9. The Black Coat's Daughter, 2015. You know, Oz Perkins has become one of my favorite directors. He definitely has a more Southern Gothic style to his films, making it a bit harder to engage with at times, but I think that's part of his charm. He previously made the Netflix original I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House, which I loved for the aforementioned Southern Gothic style. This is definitely more of a mood piece. It revolves around two girls whose family hasn't shown up for the holidays. They are allowed to stay at the school while waiting for their parents to arrive. One girl is plagued by nightmares about a burned out car. When she tries multiple times to call her parents, there is never any answer. The other suspects she is pregnant and just seems to have not contacted her family in the first place to pick her up. The two are linked together by the school, but the latter bullies and messes with the younger girl. Let's just say a demon gets involved. We are also introduced to another girl who is hiking to the same Catholic school. She encounters an older family whose daughter had died years before. We slowly realize that these are the parents of one of the girls, and that the young woman they've been driving is the younger girl fresh out of an insane asylum. The main thing that throws us off the scent is that the younger girl is played by Kiernan Shipka, otherwise known as Sabrina. Meanwhile, her future self is played by Emma Roberts, probably most known to the horror audience from American Horror Story Coven, Freak Show, Apocalypse, and 1984. They really look nothing alike, so this casting is used to help further fuel the mystery. The other point I absolutely love about this film is that we see the major events from the possessed girl's point of view early on in the film.
Hello?
letting you know just how early this thing had affected her and how she wasn't really there for most of the story, including some of the scenes that we thought affected her the most. It also has a really abrupt but heartbreaking ending. Oz Perkins continues to surprise me, even though his filmography is only at 2 films so far. Though I would definitely look out for his next film, Gretel and Hansel, which seems like a love child between The Witch and Pan's Labyrinth. So check it out. Number 10, Hereditary, 2018. I've covered this before in my favorite film scene in 2018 video, but I think it's really a testament to how good this film is that I just keep wanting to talk about it. And oh man, I really don't want to ruin this for anyone who hasn't seen it. So here's what I'll do. I'll beat around the bush as much as I can before I go into full spoiler discussion. I fully recommend you go into the movie as blind as you can, or at least watch the basic trailer. It does a magnificent job with instilling the feeling of something's off, but without giving away that first really big twist. But here we go. Hereditary is a story about a family who has just lost the matriarch's mother. They had an odd, distant relationship that is only explored further through dialogue and diatribes. But suffice it to say, the previous generation was estranged from the current one. Played to perfection by Toni Collette, the mother's an artist who uses miniatures as a coping mechanism to deal with her grief. Her daughter Charlie had an unhealthy relationship with her grandmother, including being breastfed by her. Part of her attempt to cope with the death is to sleep in the clubhouse, even during frigid nights, as well as cutting the heads off birds and collecting them. As you do. Now, one of the things I absolutely love about this is that Hereditary was originally written as a family drama about how this family attempts to deal with grief but only ends up destroying themselves. On another run through the script, Ari Aster added more metaphor and created this deeply horrific storyline. For as much as I'm steeped in horror, this movie fucked me up. I was stuck like the main character with my mouth wide open, just sitting there trying to comprehend what I had just seen and what that meant for this family. Hopefully that gives you more than enough of a recommendation to watch this film. If not, then it's time for spoiler talk. If you don't want to have this great premise ruined for you, jump to this time code. I used to bullshit my way around this film. Thanks to Nick Sphere's theory for the film, I had most of the talking points down and felt that I knew enough to be able to have casual conversation about it. I even had a customer at one point come in. She mentioned that scene and I hemmed and hawed, man, pretending that I knew what she was talking about. Let me just say this. I can now tell when people have not seen this film. When I reached that scene, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I was absolutely gobsmacked. I couldn't believe it. For those that don't know what I'm talking about, here's the setup. Peter is strong-armed by his mother into taking his little sister Charlie to a high school party. While there, Charlie has a piece of cake that she's allergic to, and in a fit of panic, Peter races down the highway. Charlie claws at her throat in the back seat. He pushes the vehicle even harder, tearing down the empty highway. Charlie leans out the window. Suddenly, a deer carcass appears in the middle of the road. Peter swerves. We see a light pole. Charlie's eyes widen. Holy shit. What follows is an ethereal mixture of shock and disbelief. It feels like an eternity that we sit there with Peter. And to be honest, I felt like it was a good 10 to 15 minutes we sat there unable to look back. But in all actuality, it was roughly 2 minutes. Peter eventually drives home. He's in such a state of shock, he just goes and lays in bed in his clothing, unblinking, unmoving, and allows his mother to find the decapitated body of her daughter still in the back seat. What the fuck? The rest of the movie deals with the further degradation of the family, as they're lost in the 1-2 punch of death. Barely able to hold on, the mother clings to a ritual that a new friend has given her. When she uses it, it only draws the family further and further into the depths of despair and starts to tear them apart. Let's just say, this is a hell of a movie that wrecked me in more than one way. The last act has always felt a bit goofy to me. There are still some solid horror moments in there. Some part of it reminded me of the sillier moments of the Insidious franchise. Actually, now that I think about it, it does remind me of the bizarre scene from The Exorcist 3. Regardless, Ari Aster is totally worth following. This year he released Midsummer, another cult-based horror film that focused on relationships first and foremost, letting the horror accentuate those issues. And there's a bear.
It's a bear, it's a bear, it's a bear, it's a bear, it's a bear in a cage.
And that's it. Well, there are definitely more amazing horror movies that have come out during the last few years. I really wanted to focus on these titles for today and introduce them to you. If you want more, hit that like button and I can definitely conjure up another list. What horror did I miss? Are there any deep cuts that I should check out? I really want to know what my blind spots are, so please let me know in the comments below. I really want to thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video and support the channel. It really means the world to me. My name is Justin D. Hurd. This has been Dubious Consumption, and I'm outro.